Hey nerds, just got through seeing the first 2 episodes of Luke Cage. First one was called Moment of Truth and the other one, Code of the Streets. Netflix show, so about an hour long each. Tremendously well done, I'll say off the top. Especially considering it's a really easy thing to mess up. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I knew about Luke Cage before he became mainstream through obviously Netflix setting up The Defenders and, you know, having him be a major component of the Jessica Jones show. However, I wasn't sure what to expect with a black superhero in a black setting. It's really easy to miswrite. It's really easy to fall into some holes, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was worried that it would fall into the genre of TV shows / films that people assume that only black people would like. All that being said, I was thoroughly impressed with these first 2 episodes, and will continue to watch and review this series for as long as I am able. I think that the political component of this show is really important to it, and that if you don't have a mind for, I don't want to say tough conversations, but that huge gray area that a lot of superhero stuff talks about ends up having a lot to do with middle America and business owners, be it big time or small time. It's reflected a lot in, you know, the Netflix TV shows in terms of Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and, you know, who has power other than people with powers. Those people are usually people with money, and that hasn't changed in this show. But I do like the diverse cast of characters in terms of what everyone's bringing to the table. And I think another thing that is very poignant to mention is the fact that it doesn't feel like Jessica Jones. And they make a point of even having a character who is usually in Daredevil being a couple episodes, and totally compare it to where he usually hangs out, Hell's Kitchen, and be totally not used to how brutal it all is, apparently. Because Daredevil will beat you up and you might die, but I mean, there's a lot worse to worry about than Luke Cage, because he doesn't kill anybody, as far as I know. Maybe he'll be forced to kill someone soon. Regardless of all that, his main villain, Cottonmouth, named after what happens if you smoke way too much indica and are having trouble talking, was interesting. I like when we have villains that don't like their villain name. That's always fun. I think the love interest is even very effective. I guess there's always the trouble of having a love interest that doesn't feel like dead weight, and this love interest does not feel like dead weight at all. And that doesn't mean that I'm not still shipping Luke with Jessica, but you know, a person has to grow. I think there'll be a relationship that'll be very interesting to see evolve and progress or end. What else? I'm shooting a lot of bullet points now. I don't want to ruin it. It's the first day. And if you don't have the time to see even the first 2 episodes, then you probably won't end up watching the whole thing. So I'm going to go on the assumption that if you're watching this video, you're probably going to watch it or already watched it. That being said, I think it's important to think about the action in this one, considering special effects wise, it's much easier to do than anything even the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does at this point. If you don't know, they have Ghost Rider now on that show. Which means Ghost Rider is running around in the MCU. Maybe we'll have some some shared stuff. Although most Netflix stuff is going to stay in its realm, and the other stuff is going to stay in its realm. However, looking at the opening credits, which is very marvelously done and kind of a reflection of the Daredevil opening credits in terms of like the city or where a person comes from shaping who they are and what they do and what they believe. I think it's pretty spot on. What else to say? I'm not gonna take too long with this. It's very emotional to watch. A lot of people died, and killing people early on in the series is very easy because you don't have such emotional weight on the audience as you had to use up so much time just to make a character likable, so that if you killed them, you care about them. But we definitely have some martyr figures in this show within the first 2 episodes, and I hope that doesn't make you not want to watch it or feel like that's a spoiler. And they even have a conversation about martyrdom within the black community, which is also a great conversation that needs to be had. And I think in terms of racially charged conversations, I think Luke Cage will definitely be in that, in the public mindset for a while right now. They name drop Black Lives Matter. I mean, they talked about, you know, like why young black men end up turning to crime so often and so easily. I mean, it hits beats that a lot of other urban, racially charged and set films generally touch on, especially within the modern contemporary mindset. All in all, I like all the characters presented, and I can't wait to watch even more. And I want to say Luke Cage is a character, someone I wasn't familiar with in terms of a comic book, myself being a comic book reader. A very, very typical hero in a lot of ways, in terms of like kind of an inner code, and, you know, not trying to be too bad, but also someone who will get their hands dirty when they need to, and can definitely enjoy a nice spot of revenge, I will say, but doesn't indulge in it, but doesn't seem to want to indulge in it in a way that would be not even Daredevil level, actually. A very remorseful hero, and I feel like because of his reluctance to use his powers and fight, that a lot of people will misread him as very, very scared, like a coward, but he's totally not. And I feel like if anyone who had watched The Walking Dead and was less than happy with how Tyrese's character turned out in terms of his whole character arc, and him being also a big guy who could hurt people very easily and yet didn't want to hurt people. I think it's much better done in terms of a character in Luke Cage, where he has his power, can't be hurt, but really isn't trying to get mixed up in things unless he's really forced to, and is honestly using his time trying to heal emotionally, not just be a normal person, just try to be okay in general, which I really appreciate. Another character going through an emotional journey that's not necessarily tailored to the call of duty of, I'm a hero, I have to do these things, how am I going to balance this with my life? Because that Spider-Man-ish approach to the struggles of being a hero and having powers is kind of been experienced by most live-action superhero fans. I talked for a long time, hope it didn't feel like rambling. I'll be more direct in coming reviews, but I definitely want to make a video right now that made people want to watch it if they hadn't watched it already. But I'm sure they spent a lot of money on publicity for this series, so I doubt that will be a problem. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're watching Luke Cage.